What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Fantasy Feud. Again, it's me, it's Travis, it's Charlie. No Mason and Paul here today, but we're here to talk about our top 5 DFS plays of
Jason?
this week. Yeah, no, I don't know. He's gone. We ain't getting him back. But
It's
hey,
fine.
before we get into our top 5 DFS plays of the entire week, I want you guys to go ahead, smash that like button, click that subscribe button right there, smash the notification bell that's right next to the subscription button if you guys want to be notified of any more videos that we make in the future DFS related. But without further ado, we're just gonna jump right into things. I'll give it over to Charlie, and he has some stuff to talk about.
All right, boys. I'm going to start y'all off with a nice 2-for-1. All right. I'm going to come in hot with the Joes for this week. All right.
Joe's.
I'm talking about Joe Burrow and Joe Mixon coming in off a regrettable start to the season for both of them, just because that offensive line they spent $70 million on this offseason hasn't shown up very well. However, I see them coming out against this Jets defense and just absolutely bringing that tenacity that they had at the end of last season that led them to that Super Bowl appearance. Joe Burrow has thrown for over 500 yards on the season, and he's coming into a game in which the Jets secondary, it's kind of questionable. You're still seeing a lot of losses. Yes, Sauce Gardner is out there, but he cannot cover more than one receiver. So take your pick, boys. If Jamar Chase is going to be locked up by Sauce, look for Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins, Hayden Hurst. And this leads me into my next Joe Mixon out of the backfield. Joe Mixon has been held without a receiving or rushing touchdown on the season. However, it's just a time for him. Joe Mixon has always been a solid producer on the football field, as well as just that guy that can provide the spark. You've seen this at his time at Oklahoma. Joe Mixon was able to just be that spark plug for the offense. I mean, he hasn't been slouching when it comes to attempts, but really look for his production and gains and yards and potentially touchdowns for this upcoming game against the Jets this Sunday.
I would be surprised, honestly, if he doesn't end up with multiple touchdowns in this game, because if there's one thing I know about Joe Mixon, it's he almost always gets a touchdown in a game. He hasn't gotten it yet. What does that mean? It means he's going to be getting a couple this week. They're going to feed him the ball. He's going to get some touchdowns, and who's to say that Joe Burrow doesn't throw them to him? I could see it happening against this Jets team.
I mean, personally, myself, I see at least one rushing, one
Yep.
receiving, but Joe Mixon has had those hat tricks games in the
Yeah.
past. So let's not overlook that potential.
Yep. Absolutely.
Boys, I love the infatuation with Joe Mixon this week. New York Jets are 28th against the run so far. As I mentioned before, volume is the best measuring stick we have for fantasy success. And Joe Mixon is averaging 23 attempts right now. I love this as a get right game for Joe Mixon. He's only $8,200 in FanDuel right now. I know it sounds like a lot, but with players like Jonathan Taylor at 9,400, Derrick Henry at 88, Christian McCaffrey at 85, all players that are a little bit bottled up with their current positions and what's going on offensively. I'm going with a slightly lower end, let's call it one tier, very high end, 2-tier FanDuel value. I love Joe Mixon as a running back one this week.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. And you know what? I got someone who's gonna be an RB1 this week that seems a little out of pocket, alright? No one's gonna think this guy's gonna be an RB1 this week, but he's only gotten better the last few weeks. The first week, we all thought he was gonna be that guy. We thought he was gonna go out there and be the best running back in the NFL. Coming in as a rookie for the Houston Texans, it's Dameon Pierce. He didn't get many
Whoa.
touches week 1. He got more touches week 2. And maybe if you look at the stat sheet, it's not the most impressive thing that you've ever seen in the world. But what you don't see on the stat sheet is the effort that he puts into every single run. This man runs like he just runs hard. He runs people over. He fights for the extra yards. It's not like other running backs in this league. He passes the eye test easily to me. And Lovie Smith, again, has come out saying that Dameon Pierce actually needs to be involved more in the passing game now. And if that's the case, now, last week he went from being the only running back with a carry. Maybe he's the only running back on that team with a reception this week. And he's playing against a poor Bears team that I think he can really get it done this week. I'm not saying he's going to finish with 30, 40 points or anything like that. I'm not crazy. But I think we see him maybe eclipse the 100-yard mark. I think you see a few catches out of him, 3-4 catches, and maybe in his first NFL touchdown. I'm saying it this week for sure. He is going to get a touchdown this week.
I mean, the Bears defense literally begins and ends with Roquan Smith in the middle.
Yep.
And I think Pierce's upside against this struggling Bears defense is absolutely there. So it's one of those situations where regardless of how they do it, whether it's rushes or receptions, he is definitely slated for taking that next step forward. We've seen it all preseason, how everyone up in the organization absolutely loves him. Now is the time. Same thing with Joe Mixon against the Jets. This Texans team against the Bears is looking to make that statement. And I think Pierce is going to come out just firing on all cylinders against this depleted Chicago defense.
Absolutely, dude. I can't agree anymore. Travis, we're going to move away from Dameon Pierce. I know you got some more information on some other guys for us. Who do you got for some of your main guys this week in DFS?
Yeah, real quick on Dameon Pierce before we move on, you guys.
I lied. He ain't leaving it.
He's got something.
So just a couple things for thought. It ties back into what we were originally talking about this week with some of the tips we gave you about FanDuel. Dameon Pierce is only $5,800 in FanDuel right now. Very low buy. It's a very nice buy. The attempts are there. Chicago's very porous, like Stone is saying. They are currently 32 against the rush right now. So if anybody is anywhere likely to exceed and a narrative ever were to exist, it's Dameon Pierce doing well this week. But keep in mind, I think he's better started in a cash tournament right now. And just a reminder of what I mean by that, he's being rostered quite a bit from what I'm seeing. So if you're one of those people that's only going to bet one or two times in a very large tournament with many entries, Dameon Pierce might not be the best choice, but he is very, very nice for a cash lineup at $5,800.
All right, yeah, absolutely, completely agree. But you should have a couple guys of your own DFS, likings that you have to tell us about. So let's hear about those guys, Travis.
So one guy that comes right to mind for me is Dalvin Cook. If you're not going to go the direction of starting Joe Mixon, I like the same narrative for Dalvin Cook to get right this week against the Detroit Lions. They are leading, giving up tons and tons of yards against the rush, and Dalvin Cook surprisingly hasn't been doing too well so far. One stat I'd like to throw out there about Dalvin Cook is he is one of those players that is a measuring stick for his frequency in which he scores touchdowns per attempts. Dalvin Cook scores a touchdown somewhere between 70 to 80 attempts. The man is absolutely due for a day. Hammer Dalvin Cook.
Gotcha, I like it. And, that kind of goes back to the beginning of the year where I believe last year Dalvin Cook did finish as PFF graded fourth most inefficient per touch fantasy player. I believe that was the statistic. Maybe it wasn't PFF, but he was fourth most inefficient per touch last year, and that kind of is already starting off this year. But that doesn't mean he doesn't have his Dalvin Cook games. That doesn't mean he doesn't get stats. He's going to go out and get stats, and this is going to be the week where you see his points actually shoot up.
So moving forward, one other player I want to highlight in DFS is David Montgomery. The man is averaging somewhere between 15 and 16 attempts a game. He is in a situation where the Bears are total passes this year. What is it, guys? 20, 23, 24?
It's in that area. It's not many.
I believe it was 33rd in pass attempts out of 32.
He's got some dogs going crazy over there. I'll finish what he was saying. 33rd out of 32 teams.
So ultimately, this again is right along the lines of volume is the best predictor we have for fantasy success. Houston is 30th against the rush. It's going to be a low-scoring game. Lots of time taken off the clock quickly. It's going to be a defensive running back battle. David Montgomery is going to easily see 15 touches, if not more. Likely have a stat line of 18 attempts, over 100 rushing yards, easy touchdown, possibly more. Somebody you definitely want to have in your lineup as well. Only $7,100 in FanDuel this week.
Yep, and I like that. If you want to go a cheaper option, you can maybe just do a running back battle of Dameon Pierce and David Montgomery. I'm also in some leagues where it's a really deep league where you get 3 flex positions. I'm actually sitting here looking at Khalil Herbert as possibly being a touchdown vulture of David Montgomery this week. So I'm not completely on the David Montgomery train, but I do think if Khalil Herbert doesn't steal any of the touchdowns, it's going to be all David Montgomery. So he could be definitely a great pick this week.
Great
You're
point.
definitely seeing Khalil Herbert take some snaps from him, but when we get into those red zone situations, what are the Chicago Bears going to do? Absolutely.
And those were our top 5 guys of DFS this week that we had to discuss. There's plenty of other names. Obviously, we pretty much just went over running backs for the most part here today. And I mean, honorable mentions to like Leonard Fournette, who's playing against Green Bay's defense, who struggled against David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert the other day. And one of my personal favorite targets this week is going to be Devontae Adams at the receiver position. I think he's going to have a huge day with Hunter Renfrow being sidelined. But yeah, those were our top 5 guys. If you guys enjoyed today's video, go ahead, click the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the bell if you guys enjoy our content. We're going to help you guys out with our DFS, parlay pick'ems, all that stuff throughout the week. We have a weekly live stream at the Stone Team at .ttv as well on Twitch. So I'm going to get us out of here. I'm going to give it over to Travis. He's going to break us out of here as Mason usually does, but Mason's not here.
Ooh, first time. What is he going to do?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot, you guys.
The spot is on you. Yeah.
I'm not ready for this at all. All right, so let's make this full circle this time, you guys. Talking about contrarian, trying to stand out from the field. Do you guys realize what I'm wearing right now? Do either one of you know?
I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I don't.
28-3 comes to mind.
Out of 6.
That would be a 2. That is the number 2. That reminds me.
Who does number 2 work for?
It's not Matt Ryan, boys. It's Carson Wentz.
Big Carson Wentz fan. All right. Well, Travis ain't saying it. He ain't even going to say it. He's not going to say Fantasy Few out, so I'm saying it today. All right, Fantasy Few's out. We don't want to talk about Carson Wentz. We'll see you guys later.
Nah.